Hey guys, welcome to 22 Without a Clue. I'm McKenna, episode 5. And, that's perfect because number 5 is what I'm going to talk about today. Awesome. So, do any of you remember MySpace? Honestly, MySpace was my favorite thing, and it's kind of funny because I made one in secret with my cousin when I was younger because my parents said I couldn't have one. And then right as I'm making it, my parents walk in and they're like, "You're making a MySpace?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Kate's like, "Sorry." And she was like so embarrassed that she was helping me. But I just think MySpace was really cool at the time. Uh, it was like the fad back then. I can't even find mine now because it's so old and because they've changed up MySpace so much. But I liked the factor that you can change backgrounds and you can add a song, and then you can also put your top like 5 friends or top 8 friends. That was something that was really kind of hard for me to do and special for me to do because I got to showcase who I was friends with. It would start a lot of fights. It would be like, "Oh, she moved me from 2 to 4, what the heck?" But all in good fun. I think when we're younger, we take things a little more personal. But today, what I want to talk about is our MySpace top 5. And pretty much what that means is, who are those people in your life that you'll showcase as your 5 friends? Advice that I got pretty far back that changed my life was show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future. That's something for pretty much my whole life I didn't see was affecting my decisions, my motives, my life. Pretty much a lot of things were affected because who I was friends with. And this is something that is really important for us to learn, especially in our 20s, because we're moving from being around the same people all the time at school to graduating to getting jobs, and now we're having to either say bye to those college friends and then say hi to new friends at work, or maybe you're in another program, or maybe you're self-employed, and so like at church. But I think this is something that I learned quickly, that if I have the wrong people in my life, I tend to get really swayed by what they're doing. I know a lot of people aren't like me, but I think a lot of people have similar insecurities like me where we feel unaccepted or rejected. So the people that we hang out with, we feel validation from. And to a sense, like, that is really important. But if we find our validation from anyone, then that could be really bad. And I noticed when, even in high school, I kind of jumped around from friend group to friend group. I played sports, so I would hang out with the people that I was doing sports with, each different sport. And then I had some really good friends, but I feel like I jumped around a lot because, if they weren't giving me validation here, I'd go look for it somewhere else. Or if I felt kind of like not included, then I would get really like insecure, and so then I would just jump to another group. And I was really blocked from that experience in high school. And so the fault that a lot of us use when we feel like we need to be accepted or come into a new friend group under a bad insecure mindset is we start to gossip, or we start to kind of take on the atmosphere of what that friend group has. So we see these friends who are giving you attention, but they're always gossiping or they're always negative, then you are going to become gossipy and negative. And at first it doesn't seem bad because you're like, oh, I have friends now. But in reality, it's actually hindering your character and like who you really want to be. I think when I got to college is when I started to really discover, you know, who I was friends with kind of affected my lifestyle. From early on in college, I kind of got into partying because I was on soccer team and that was kind of like the thing to do. And uh, honestly, everyone learns and everyone goes through stuff. So it's like nothing against anyone. But I think that was just the stage that we were in. And we kind of all just really like connected from partying and going out and stealing and doing stupid stuff. And I felt really connected to those people. I think people grow, but if you're only going to grow with the people that you're surrounded with. So when I graduated college, I had a dear friend who was, with me through those stages, but we definitely learned that we needed to get past that. And so we moved to San Diego, and she's one of the strongest friends that I have because she really knows, I can be swayed, and she knows the type of person I am. And so she's able to speak into my life. And we, even if we don't see each other that much, we can reconnect in like an instant. And so that's someone that I keep in my life because, yeah, we've been through stuff together, but we also grew out of that, and we like saw that who we surround ourselves with is really important. And then when I found C3, now Awaken Church, that's when I really discovered how important it is to surround yourself with like-minded people, because my business started from new friends that believed in me and saw that I had talent. And not to say that the friends that I had before didn't, it's just like the friends that I met at Awaken Church were so like immersed in that atmosphere that it came so much quicker than with the people I hung out with in the past. And if you have those friends, if you're that friend that's like trying to get there and trying to surround yourself with really good people, but you have friends who maybe complain a lot or are in this like rut all the time, I think you should really be careful not to be their crutch, and like just they might be like, I notice that complaining and criticism will create division. And so when you have someone in your life who's always being critical or always complaining, you kind of notice that they're like a lone wolf most of the time, because it's really not pleasing to the ear to always hear criticism or negativity. Yes, we have like hard things in life, but I think if you're always complaining about it, that's the atmosphere you create. And so you have to be really careful not to get snared into like complaining with them or being negative with them, but you really have to be that friend that speaks life into them and says, hey, I know you're going through a lot, but I'm not going to let you be negative. And you have to be really bold, especially if you've known this person for a really long time. I think it's your responsibility as a friend to tell them that. And another thing I want to talk about is, your friends that surround you, are they going to be there for you when times get tough? It's really sucky when you have a friend who's flaky all the time, and when we have friends that are flaky all the time, then you become flaky. And so then when you try to meet people and then they're like going through hard times, you kind of like avoid helping them because you never really learned how to get help from other people. So I think for me, the friends that I have now, I can call them at 3 a.m. and they'll answer and they'll talk me through things if I'm going through something. Or if I have a vision card that I wrote down all my things, they'll pray with me. My husband is someone who has been like the epitome of who I should surround myself with, because he is like honorable, responsible, respectful. He is very motivated and driven. And that's something that if I'm not surrounded by that, then I probably will not do the things that I say that I want to do, because I'm more of a dreamer and idea person. He's very practical and how are you going to get there. And so that's someone that I really need in my life. And I have friends who are dreamers with me and who have like the spontaneity that I need. And it's a really good blend. And I think if you keep your friend group small, it's going to grow deeper. But if you are someone who has a hard time connecting and has a lot of friends, like you would have like top 30 in your MySpace, but you really don't know if you can count on them to walk you through something or talk you through or give you guidance, then that's something that maybe pick one or two people to take out to coffee and get to know a little bit more. I think that we can kind of block ourselves from making friendships because we don't want to get hurt because we've been hurt in the past. But I would say like that's all just a lie from the enemy. And if you're hearing a lot of this and you feel shame and guilt because you're that friend, I would say that you're listening to the wrong voice, because what I'm trying to say and talk about is actually supposed to be really encouraging, and it's supposed to be enlightening. But if you're feeling guilt and shame from hearing the things that I'm saying, then that's the enemy saying, oh, yep, you do that. Oh, yep, you do that. And it's like another thing that we can get so wrapped up on, and then it avoids us, or it diverts us from getting to where we want to go. So that's something I wanted to talk about. A story that I've been reading in the Bible when I'm doing the 1-year Bible reading is talking about the Israelites going from Egypt, being delivered, and they're now in the 40-year timeline of trying to get to the Promised Land. And I noticed that on the map, it actually has a shorter route to get to the Promised Land, but God, it says in the Bible that God, provided a cloud of fire day and night, and guided them to the Promised Land. So I'm like, why would he guide them but the long way? And I noticed that the reason why he guided them the long way was because if they were to go to the Promised Land, they wouldn't be healed, and they wouldn't have the mindset. Oh, hi, Holly. They had this mindset of complaining and criticism, and they would all come around together and like just bicker and like criticize and complain, and they found like comfort doing that because it wasn't just one person, it was the multitude. And when that happens, like we block ourselves from receiving like blessing and promises. When we are positive and speaking life and joyful and always seeing the glass half full, that's going to attract people to us, and that's going to bring multiplication, fruitfulness into our life. And if you're that person who is joyful and wants to get there but has friends that are complaining, I'm not saying to ghost them or to shun them, but just start slowly loving them from afar, because they're going to see your life flourishing with people in your life that are also encouraging and joyful, and that's going to encourage them. Don't lose hope on them, but don't let them be that voice in your head. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's super important, especially in our 20s when we're trying to figure out who we are. So how do we figure out who we want to hang out with? But I think if, you're still figuring out what you want to do with your life, get around people that are doing what they want to do and know who they are and know what they want to do with their life. And you'll discover that your purpose and your calling will come a lot quicker than with people that are just kind of like, well, I don't know, I'm just kind of flying by. So yeah, that's something I want to encourage you guys with today. Click that subscribe channel or subscribe button, and I'm going to be having more guests on this show, because I really saw how much praise and everything like that with Marissa and all the wisdom she brought. So I want to bring that more to you guys. So yeah, I will see you guys next week on 22 Without a Clue.